Hi. Recently, one of my YouTube viewers wrote in and asked if I would create a video on how to manifest something on somebody else's behalf. So for example, if you had a friend or a loved one who had been suffering in some capacity, let's say that they lost their job, could you manifest that person a new job? Or they lost a relationship, could you manifest them a relationship? Or maybe they had a health condition. Could you manifest their health? Could you manifest their cure? Is that possible? And the answer to that question is yes, but there's a couple things you really got to understand about that question to apply this concept successfully. And so today I want to explain what those things are. So if you've been hoping to manifest something on somebody else's behalf, you find this information useful. Okay, so the first thing to understand about manifesting something on somebody else's behalf is that it's really important to avoid externalizing what's going on. And so oftentimes what happens is if we see somebody suffering, we think, oh, that person manifested a bad situation for themselves. That person is having the issue. But something that's huge, very, very helpful is to understand that if somebody's popping up in our reality, particularly somebody who's close or who's important to us, not only is that person manifesting their problem, but we are co-creating that exact same issue. Because if there wasn't something going on with inside of us that made us a match to that particular problem, we wouldn't be bearing witness to it in our reality. So if somebody that I love and care about is having an issue or having a problem, I internally am responsible for attracting myself into that particular scenario. Now, this doesn't mean that you or I are bad people when this happens, because of course this isn't something that you intend to do, but understanding that there's something internal going on is of paramount importance. Because here's the thing, every single person that you meet is multifaceted. They're not just one way. There's a version of your mother who is happy and healthy and prosperous and kind and all these things, and there's versions of your mother or any other person who lacks some of those attributes. And the exact version of my mother that I line up with has everything to do with me. And yes, she's attracting her scenario in her own reality, but the version of her that I'm lining up with has everything to do with me. So it really isn't about manifesting something on somebody else's behalf. Rather, it's about lining up with the version of the person that you would most prefer, lining up with a version of that person that you care about who's happy and healthy and prosperous and has all those wonderful things that you want for them. So that's the first thing to understand. Now, the second thing to understand about manifesting things on other people's behalf is understanding that if I'm asking that question, that I want to manifest something to solve somebody's problem, unfortunately, what's happening is I'm focusing squarely on the person's problem. And with the law of attraction, what you focus on expands. So if I'm looking at somebody that I love who is sick, and the reason I want to manifest health for them is because I'm noticing how sick they are and I feel so bad about how sick they are, really the vibration I'm putting out is, man, you're really sick. And so of all the versions of that person I could be aligning with, I'm actually staying tethered to the version of that person who is sick. So the trick to aligning yourself with somebody who has the kind of life that you want them to have is to avoid looking at them as somebody who needs to be saved. Instead of looking at somebody as having a problem, as needing your intervention, as who's in dire straits, who's having all kinds of problems, instead of looking at them that way, we have to take a broader view and understand that this is just one version of this person. But this person that I'm staring at is multifaceted. And there's dimensions of this person who are happy, who are healthy, who are prosperous. The more that I'm able to look at a person and see them as multifaceted and having the potential to line up with a healthy, prosperous, happy life, the more likely that person is going to reflect that back to me. So if there's people in your life that you care about who are struggling, One of the things that I think that can be the most helpful is to just start to notice and become aware that every single person has it within themselves to tap into versions of themselves that are happy and healthy and prosperous. The more that you can make that your dominant focus, that everybody has it in them to tap into happiness, health, prosperity, love, the more you can do that, the less you're going to take on that responsibility for having to solve somebody's problems. Because as long as you're in that position where you feel like you have to solve their problem, unfortunately, you're only going to stay tethered to a version of that person who has a problem.